Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to another episode of the Storytime series. So, if you saw my community post, you would have seen how I was talking about how I want to share you guys' stories. So, if you have something that you want to share and you want to talk about it on the channel, let me know. And you can just email me at exoticalsunited@gmail.com. I want us to start telling our stories because for too long we've been silenced, and too many people have been calling us delusional, saying that we're making things up, and 10,000 of us can't just be all making things up. I mean, that doesn't even make logical sense. But let's go ahead and get into it. This person, she says, "Hey, pretty girl, I saw your post on YouTube and would like to share some experiences with you. I was in elementary school at the time. I had transferred to a new school going into third grade because the previous school I had attended closed. What I noticed was that some students weren't too fond of me when they first saw me. So I've noticed this pattern a lot. I've noticed that sometimes when people view you as kind of higher on a social hierarchy than them, or when people are envious of things like your skin tone or your hair texture, you don't even have a chance with them. Like, they won't get to know you, they don't care, they've already made their assumptions about you, and they automatically start treating you like trash. But let's continue. She said, "They looked at me funny and didn't want to sit next to me. Sometimes I would hear them sniggling and laughing. Thankfully, I had a friend that transitioned to the same school from my previous school, and I hung out with her and another group that was nice to me. Come to find out, the reason the other kids were acting that way is because they thought I was white. I was like, oh wow. It was strange to me because the kids from my previous school never reacted to me that way. I recall a time when I was in fourth grade. There were two dark-skinned black girls. I was cool with them. When I walked in the cafeteria for breakfast one morning, I sat at the same table as them. It was in the winter time, so I may have looked lighter. As I sat down, I saw them look at me and then looked at one another, saying something, and sniggled a little bit. They felt it was needed to tell me, in the summer, you should sit out in the sun more often because you look white. And they were laughing about it a little bit. Have you ever noticed how if you are lighter skinned, people automatically tell you you need to get in the sun? Like, they're trying to tell you you need to be darker because they don't want you to be light skinned. They don't want you to have quote unquote light skin privilege. In their mind, they're associating it with light skin privilege a lot of times. And so they don't want you to be light skinned. They will tell you you need to go out in the sun, or they will call out how pale you are. Has anyone ever noticed how whenever you have a lighter complexion, people will literally monitor your skin tone? They're monitoring how light you get in the winter, how dark you get in the summer, how many shades did you change? Like, do you pass the paper bag test? Are you darker than a paper bag now? And the obsession is just incredible. I have only noticed people who are like non-light skinned, or people who they tend to be black identified. Those are the only people I've noticed that are ever straight up tracking your skin tone. But let's continue. She says, I didn't say anything about it because I was kind of offended. Not that anything is wrong with being or looking white, but the fact that they thought something was wrong with the way I looked and told me to change it. I thought, what if I had told them they need to stay out of the sun and get some bleaching cream because they were too dark, looking like Africans? Nothing wrong with looking African. African people are beautiful. African is also in my blood. But if I would have said that, they would have felt offended and been mad at me. Yeah, has anyone ever noticed that you're not allowed to tell a darker skinned person to change their skin tone, obviously, but you are allowed to tell a lighter skinned person that they need to change their skin tone? Like, oh, you're too light, you need to change your skin tone and become darker. I know that this has happened to me multiple times where people will, let's say I'm going out with friends and they all happen to be unambiguous dark-skinned black women. I have noticed a pattern where sometimes they will purposely say that I should sit in the sun, or like one time, I'm not even kidding, one of my friends, she was like, oh, Exoticals United, you can sit in the sun. Like, you can handle some more sun. Like, for us, we don't want any more sun. Like, we don't want to get any darker. But for you, like, you can basically afford to get darker. And a lot of people, they want you to go in the sun because they want you to prove that you don't mind getting darker. They want you to prove that you're not a colorist, because if you're light-skinned and you don't want to get a tan, people are automatically going to say you're a colorist. And then another thing that people will do is, if you are light-skinned, people want you to become darker as a way of trying to prove your solidarity with black people or with darker skinned people, I've noticed. It's almost as if people try to subconsciously test you to see how racist you are, how colorist you are, and things like that. And it's just really cringy. But let's continue. She said, but if I would have said that, they would have felt offended and been mad at me, just like a lot of unambiguous black people get offended for being called African. Some say people with light skin complexions do not experience colorism. Well, if we don't experience colorism, we sure do experience jealousy, envy, discrimination, and hatred. Girl, I can tell you about so many experiences I've had. There was a time in the sixth grade I became friends with a new girl. At least I thought we were friends. We were cool at first, but started hanging with a different crowd, and she started acting like them. One day we were in our math groups, and the kids were cracking on different people's facial features in the class. I was sitting there quietly, saying nothing or doing nothing to her, and she said, "Brittany got enormous lips," really loud, and the people around us thought it was funny. I was embarrassed and felt like I would cry, but held it in. After the teacher got on her, she apologized, but did so while laughing. She was a brown-skinned girl. Maybe a year or two, I saw her make a post on Facebook saying, "I don't have to be pretty to be light-skinned." Another where she posted a throwback photo of herself where she referred to herself as an ugly girl. She was insecure about herself, taking it out on me. She also made fun of me saying my lip goes up when I smile. Something stupid, she said, LOL. A girl I went to 7th and 8th grade with sometimes would make comments about my eyebrows. She thought they were too thick and I needed to get them done. I have naturally thick, full eyebrows. Now I look at her pictures on Facebook. She is drawing her eyebrows on thick. While we were going to school together, she barely had any eyebrows. It's because of those two features, my eyebrows and smile, are what I get complimented on the most. When I look at my childhood and school photos, I have always been a beautiful kid. I didn't always feel like it due to the judgment. See, a lot of people say things out of insecurity. I wish I would have known better then, but grateful for the understanding I have now. They saw me as a target, being light-skinned, stereotype of being soft. I was quiet, studious. I would get complimented and praised by teachers for my behavior. Sometimes even that would trigger them. Not just the girls, but the boys too. The boys can be worse because they like to get violent. I am not saying all light-skinned black people are innocent. They say mean comments too. But I noticed that the negative skin complexion talk usually comes from brown or darker skinned black people. Not all, of course. It is so silly how long it's been going on. I am grateful to be at a place where I love my skin complexion. I have a beautiful light skin complexion. I look in the mirror and admire what I see. I love my beauty. I will continue to flaunt it. Light, brown, dark, we are all so beautiful. Thank you for your channel. Keep speaking out. Much love, beauty. Yeah, I've definitely noticed a pattern where a lot of people who feel inferior about their skin tone or about their facial features, their lips and their eyebrows or whatever, they will pick on that exact same feature on you. Because notice how the girl with the thin eyebrows, she made fun of your thick eyebrows, or, they're making fun of your lips, so maybe they were insecure about their lips. But what do you ladies think? Have you ever had anyone project their insecurities onto you? Do you have any stories that you want to share so that we can discuss them and give our commentary here on the channel? Let me know. You can email me at exoticalsunited@gmail.com. Stay pretty, ladies.